But joining us now is Thomas Gibbons-Neff, Ukraine correspondent for the New York Times, who actually interviewed this suspect last year about his attempts to recruit Afghan soldiers to fight in Ukraine. Thomas, thank you for being with us this morning. What were your impressions of Ruth when you spoke with him?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Mr. Ruth was a peculiar character, but I think a lot of those men and women who fled to Ukraine in the war's opening months definitely had a particular mindset and attitude, and Mr. Ruth was definitely no different. He seemed way in over his head and very driven to help where he could. But I mean, that being said, it sounded like he was encountering a lot of obstacles and had no real idea on how to,
Yeah, you talk about your impression being he was in way over his head. I read the article you wrote this morning since his arrest. As you reflected on that conversation, and you write that his plan to recruit these fighters to help in Ukraine sounded ridiculous. You said, but the tone in Mr. Ruth's voice said otherwise. He was going to back Ukraine's war effort no matter what. No matter what, that determination. What does that tell you about the way he operates?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can't really underestimate Ukraine, Russia's invasion, and what it's like to be there. I use the term loosely, drinking the Kool-Aid. I think he was, inspired by the Ukrainian people. He, was talking to Afghans who were in terrible living conditions, having fled the Taliban takeover in August of 2021, and I think was well-meaning, but at the same time, right, he has a criminal record, and like many of those, we call them Walter Mitty types that fled to Ukraine as volunteers, was looking to reinvent himself. And I want to make it clear that there are many volunteers in Ukraine who are well-meaning and are there for the right reasons.
Quickly, if you will, did you have any concerns about his state of mind when you spoke with him?
Honestly, I mean, his state of mind was familiar to me and reminded me of a lot of people in kind of that sphere that were very similar. And when I heard that he was accused of attempting to assassinate former President Trump, it struck me as surprising, but also not that surprising.
Thomas Gibbons-Neff, thank you very much for sharing your reporting with us and your observations. We appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you.